I think many of us women, we truly struggle to love ourselves. And when I say love ourselves, I don't mean from a vain perspective, like, look at me, everyone, I'm so gorgeous, I'm so pretty. No, I mean at a soul level where we accept ourselves, including our imperfections. I mean when we set standards and boundaries where we are not a pushover to let people take advantage of us. Self-love is the foundation to how everything in our life is formed. Our relationship is formed, the way people treat us. And that's why it's so important that we learn to create a healthy relationship with ourselves, because this is the number one most important relationship that we will have. Think about it yourself. Who do we spend the most time with day in, day out? It's not going to be your partner, your pet, your family. It's actually our own individual selves. And in this video, I want to share with you 6 steps to create a healthy self-love with yourself. And I hope that these can help you in some way. I hope you find some value in this. Let's get straight into it. Point number 1. The first step to creating a healthy self-love as a woman is to understand that this void, this emptiness that many of us can experience, that we feel like something is missing in our life. So we end up seeking it outside of ourselves. Maybe we go chasing a relationship, chasing a partner, maybe chasing a career, chasing materialistic things. Whatever it may be, a lot of us have been conditioned to believe that our happiness lies outside of ourself. So this void that we have, we're constantly seeking it from a person or a thing. And this is how we get disappointed over and over again. Loving ourselves, number 1, is to understand that it's our responsibility to make ourselves happy. We need to be our main source of happiness. And of course, people, relationships, boyfriends, family, they can all help provide a source of love to us. They bring joy and they help uplift us. Of course they do. It's an addition. However, they cannot be our main source of happiness. It's unfair to expect that from people. If we can understand that we are responsible for the joy in our own life, become our main source, that's how we take our power back. That's when we stop seeking outside of ourselves to make ourselves feel good. Point number 1 is to become aware that we have the power to make ourselves feel happy. Once we've realized that and understood that, the next step is to change that relationship with that voice that we have inside of us, that all of us have, that negative voice. You know, we sometimes can be our worst own enemy. The things we say to ourselves, if we could hear it out loud, we would never say these things to a friend. If we was to say these things, that friend would leave us, gone, because that's how harsh we are to ourselves. Like, you're too fat to wear that. Perhaps you keep saying to yourself, you know, I keep attracting men who treat me poorly. There's so many things that we say to ourselves that is damaging. And, you know, I get it. I've been guilty of this too. The thing is, it's important that we understand that what we think what we believe about ourselves, unfortunately, this is what becomes reality. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Our thoughts are so freaking powerful. Our reality literally becomes a reflection of what we are thinking. And that's why it's so important we change this narrative, this dialogue that we have with ourselves. And I know it may not be easy because as humans, I think, and our default is to be very critical, is to be negative. And I think this comes from back in the days where they always had to look for danger to survive. But in today's modern age, we don't have this danger so apparent to us. We don't need to always be on the alert, looking at negative situations and how we may be at risk. So we need to change this relationship that we have with ourselves. Start telling yourself a different story. Instead of saying, I always keep attracting men that don't treat me right, change that to, I no longer date men who don't treat me right. Instead of saying, I am not smart enough to get that promotion, change that to, I have the ability to learn the skills necessary to get the promotion that I need. And it may not happen overnight, especially if we've been talking to ourselves in a negative way for a really long period of time. So please, please, please be patient and give yourself some grace. But I promise you, if you start to become aware of the negative thoughts and the way you talk to yourself, every time you think of something negative, just think, would I say this to my friend? Catch yourself doing it. And then this will become a habit. The way you talk to yourself in a new positive way will form your new identity. And then your identity is what's going to create a new way for you to act, behave. And that's how we create a new version of ourselves. That's how you create a more loving version of yourself. A version where you've created a healthy, positive love for yourself. Point number 2, how to build a healthy relationship with yourself is to learn to prioritize yourself, to take care of yourself. And when I say this, it's not just about the way you're going to look externally. It's about taking care of yourself because essentially how it's going to make you feel. I think a lot of us, we can take our body for granted. But the thing is, our body and our mind, they're both interlinked, they're connected. Have you ever noticed, for example, if you go out for a walk and you're moving your body, it just helps to just make you feel light and let go of perhaps stress that you're going through on that day. In the same sort of way, when we don't take care of ourselves, when we consume junk food for a long period of time, eventually we will not feel great. If we become more mindful about the way we treat ourselves, we will begin to feel better. Our body will thank us for it. And as a result, we will feel good. And when we feel good, this is when we start to feel more self-love. This is when we're less likely going to want to harm ourselves, get involved with toxic habits. So what does it mean to take care of yourself? What practical tips can you do to start implementing this? I really encourage moving your body every single day. The days that I go, if I have any days where I'm not moving my body, maybe because of being sick or whatever the reason it is, I can feel myself just feeling frustrated and not being able to feel as free, and I can feel a lot of tension building up. As soon as I start moving around, I just feel so much better. And I encourage maybe to try yoga. This is a beautiful way to start to feel in line with your body. And it's a beautiful way for me, because I find you start focusing on what your body can do more than what it just looks like. You start creating this relationship with your body where you start being appreciative and grateful for what it can do. Maybe you can start treating yourself to wearing some of your favorite clothes when you're alone, when you're at home, when nobody's watching. Making yourself feel good for you, not for the sake of other people. I think it all begins with how we feel with ourselves. And sometimes, we put on anything and, just same old jogging bottoms that we wear indoors. But we don't realize that this can actually impact the way we feel about ourselves. We deserve to feel special every day, even if nobody's watching. That really helps to feel good about yourself. Try it. The next point number 4, how to create healthy self-love with yourself as a woman, is to set emotional boundaries. Learn how to put emotional boundaries with people who may use you, who may not respect your boundaries. This is so important, because an act of self-love is to have boundaries. This is the space that we create to protect ourselves as women, especially if you've been a woman who's been a people pleaser and who struggles to let people down because you worry about what they're going to think of you. This can be really hard for us to set boundaries because we don't want to upset people. But an act of self-love is to protect yourself, to have standards, and especially towards people who who don't appreciate you, who are toxic, who overstep the line with you over and over again. This could be family, a potential guy that you're dating, whoever it may be. Having emotional boundaries is an act of self-love. This is how you learn to protect yourself, your peace, so that you don't let people use you and abuse you, where they think you're a pushover, they can do whatever the hell they want. No. Setting emotional boundaries is letting people know, hey, these are my standards. These are my boundaries. If you don't respect them, then I may have to create some distance with you. And that's how you figure out people who truly care about you are going to respect your boundaries. They're not going to call you at 1:00 in the morning telling you about a disaster they've had with their boyfriend, because they respect you enough to respect your boundaries. The next point number 5, a way to create healthy self-love with yourself as a woman is to get comfortable to say no. This touches on from last point, from creating boundaries. They kind of go hand in hand. But I think this is really important to mention as an act of self-love, as a huge part of learning to step into our authentic self and owning ourselves and prioritizing ourselves, is learning to say no. We find it so hard, especially again if we struggle to let people down, being a people pleaser. But the thing is, we have to understand that when we prioritize other people over and over again, especially when we say yes to things that we don't want to do and we don't need to be there, it's not important. This is when we let ourselves down. This is when we are taking away from our own happiness, chipping away from the energy that we could be doing something that can make us feel good. We have to remember that every time we say yes to something, we are saying no to ourselves. And we have to think at that time, is this something that I really want to do? You know, there's a saying, if it's not hell yes, then it's a no. And I get it that we all have to sometimes compromise, do things that we don't want to do. But I think this is about when you keep doing it over and over again to the point where people just expect you to. For example, if you've got someone where everyone knows that this woman is a yes person, you know, she never rejects any invitation, she'll be there. Unfortunately, the chances are, you know, people are going to see her as a pushover. They're not going to value her as much because she doesn't stand her ground. She doesn't have any set of standards for herself where she believes in herself enough to say no so that she can actually do the things that she wants to do. In the same way, if we learn to respect ourselves, if we learn to say no, this is an act of self-love. This is when you are respecting and loving yourself, and that's how you teach other people also to respect your time, value you, and not take you for granted. The next point number 6, a way to love yourself, a healthy way to create a better relationship with yourself is to allow yourself to be you, to give yourself permission to be your most authentic self. A lot of us make decisions based on what's expected of us from society, culture, family, and then we may find ourselves not happy. Maybe this could be the career path that we've chosen, or maybe it's a relationship status, whatever it may be. Sometimes this is the root cause to why we don't have enough self-love for ourselves, because we're misaligned with the life that we truly want to live. For example, you know, deep down, if we know that we don't want to be this corporate girl working in a bank, and deep down we know in our heart that we are a creative, we are an artist, you know, we're always going to get that feeling that something does not feel right, or something is missing, or part of you that feels suffocated, that cannot come out. When we are living like this, we are constraining ourselves in a box almost, and limiting ourselves to see our full potential and live in alignment the way we want to live. And it's only when self-love is about discovering what feels true for us individually, not what others expect us to. It's about figuring out who we are, the things that we align with, our beliefs, what we value, the way we want to live, the way we want to express ourselves. This is what it means to love oneself, being able to be authentic, unapologetically, and having the courage also to do that, because many people, they don't give themselves that chance to discover who they are. And as women, I think we fall into this trap quite often, a lot, because we fear being judged, what people are going to say, ostracized, not being accepted. And it's only when we allow ourselves to fly and discover and explore, that's when we get to really fall in love with ourselves at a deep core level, more than the way we look like externally. This is about the person who we are, and figuring out the way we want to live our life, and living it regularly, doing the things that you want, creating a beautiful life for yourself, because this is an act of self-love. These are my 6 points. I hope you can relate. I hope this can bring you some sort of comfort, maybe if you are going through a period where you are struggling to create a healthy relationship with yourself. I hope that these suggestions can help you in some form of way. Please comment below if you'd like to add anything that I've discussed in this video. I would love to hear from you. I hope you're all doing really well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.